Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to pump him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
All right. What's going on, guys? Emergency Garden Report. And if you don't think it's an emergency, I don't know what to tell you. Not great news for Jayson Tatum. He's fine. Shut up, Zannis. Doomer. Maybe.
I don't know. Did people think he was fine coming out of that?
Maybe. It doesn't
I wasn't
matter.
on post game.
No. So I'll tell you this, Bobby. I'm going to give you a lot of, this is, guys, we're not I'm not even going to speculate. I'm just going to give you the facts. This is not a speculation report. This is
no warning.
This is a warning. Okay. And I'll tell you this, one guy had this sniffed out, and one guy only, and that guy is Bobby Manning.
Whoa!
And Bobby had it after the game. I didn't like the vibe. I'll go back on the text message. I'll tell you exactly what he said. But the general vibe was Tatum seemed off, like he was hiding it. But, as everyone is wont to do, and, reporters, there's a lot of people who like to take things at face value. Well, Joe said he's fine. Tatum said he's fine. Everything is fine.
The show ended early after game one. I'm coming back after the presser. And I basically said, quieter Tatum presser than usual.
Yeah.
Seemed like he was holding stuff back. That's what it felt like to me in that presser. We know he's always quiet. We got the, sound there that Amit plays. This was even more uncomfortable, worried. That's just how it rang out to me. Didn't want to talk about the injury.
But Tatum's been dramatic in the past in the sense that, I thought he really hurt his ankle that last time he rolled it.
So there were two sides to this.
Yeah.
You had Tatum rolling. You had Al pissed, and we heard that today as well. We'll get to some of the sound from practice today. So you had concern between those two. And then you had Joe, get up. Joe went way back on that today, John, because a couple of us asked about it, and we're like, what was that? And he was like, I love him. Yeah. So he didn't really go in depth about why he did that, but I'm sure Joe thought at the time he was fine. Pritchard even today talking about it was like, you got fouled hard. He took a little bit of a spill, but we get up and recheck the ball, and we're not intimidated. So he's somewhere in between here, right? There's clearly an injury, but this is an injury that's a matter of, can you play through it? Can you be effective through it? Tatum's not going to miss the rest of the series.
He's going to
play.
We're back. I know, but here we are.
We're going to see how effective he's going to be.
I mean, he's obviously going to play. He might even play next game. There's no question. He's not going to play. This is a matter of pain and effectiveness. You're talking about a guy and the narrative around him in the playoffs, and again, this is, people remembering what happened in the finals, the conference finals, and him not shooting well, particularly not shooting well from three, but not shooting his best and going out and having a pretty miserable game one before he got hurt. Really bad from a shooting perspective, forcing shots, didn't look good at all. And it starts again. Here goes Tatum. If he's going to be good, he's got to do better. And again, I think that those narratives are honestly a little bit tired. But I do think he has to do better than he did in game one. Now you're talking about a guy who's already, in a little bit of a playoff shooting funk, didn't have a good game in game one, whose wrist is hurting. And your wrist is pretty important when it comes to shooting. So now you're talking about your two best players limited physically with what they can do and what they normally do with bone bruises. And what have we learned about bone bruises, Bobby? They don't just go away. They don't go away unless there's rest, and there's no time for rest. So these guys just have to play being banged up. Are they the first superstars in history?
And we're one game in.
Yeah, and you're one game in. Are they the first superstars in history? No. Oftentimes playoffs, this is what it comes down to. Anybody watches hockey, the team that wins is either the team with the hottest goalie or the team that doesn't have a bunch of people who are going to go for off-season surgery. They're all dead. They're all banged up. Everybody plays through something. That's a physical, grinded out sort of game. This is a bit of not saying hockey's not a skill or finesse game, but this is Tatum, and it's his right wrist, and you need that to shoot. That's bad. That's bad. So you just got a bad little jolt here in terms of not can they beat Orlando tomorrow? Can they beat Orlando in this series? Of course, you're going to beat Orlando. You could sit Tatum and Brown. I think you probably beat Orlando. But all of a sudden, you've raised a lot of questions about how far this team can go if you're going to have your top two players with injuries that are nagging enough to make them less of themselves. The margin for error is not that great. This is not, they're not a super team without these guys at 100%. They are with the guys at 100%. Absolutely. And I still think probably we're title favorites, even up with OKC, even though, OKC's had overall the better season. Fully healthy Celtics, title favorites. Celtics without their top two guys or without their top two guys at 100%, that's a different story. So here we have to go and trying to figure out, did Tatum shoot poorly because he shot poorly? Did Tatum shoot poorly because he had a wrist injury? Or is he totally fine and it's really pretty minor? But now you got to watch.
With ongoing shooting struggles, you become more concerned about this because with the 1 of 8 the other night, he's now down to 62 for his last 208 since the All-Star break. That drops him to 29.8% from three. So this is a shooting lull that's been going on for a while.
Yeah.
It sort of mirrors the one we watched the last postseason. Is obviously far removed from the great start he had to this year. It made you say, oh, he fixed it and he did this and that. And I fell into that too, obviously, John. This could add to that. And does that change how teams guard him? Does that change how you can try to attack this team defensively and hope that he's going to settle and those threes don't become as good as shots for him at that point? And, Noah and I were talking about it earlier after the practice, and she said something that I liked there. It was like, is he going to shoot some less threes now? You hope so, if the three's not going to be there for him. But
that was the only thing I thought, Bobby.
Yeah, that changes how teams guard him.
That's the only thing I've thought is, does this force Tatum to be more of the Tatum that we want, which is the pass up, the heat check three, try to take it in closer to the basket, shoot stuff closer range, and knock his 10 threes down, 10 or 11 threes down to 5 or 6. Is that a better version of him, or one who only
we saw
shoots
in the finals, right?
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't a better version because he couldn't hit anything. But yeah, that's not horrible. So you want to see, it's really all becomes down to a measure of how affected. Like, what percentage, I'll ask you this, like, what percentage affected did you think Brown was by his knee in game 1?
Minimal.
Okay.
15, 20.
I thought more than that, but like I said, Jimmy put it best. If you'd never watched Jaylen Brown before, you wouldn't have looked at him and said, there's a guy who's hurting. You just wouldn't have said, oh my God.
You wouldn't have said he's one of the best athletes in the league.
There's a guy whose athleticism just jumps off the screen. You wouldn't have said that.
He did dunk.
He dunked once, but he got it that was like a Bobby Manning dunk, he snuck that thing with his fingertips over the rim and then pulled up after with, but that wasn't Jaylen Brown. I've
been trying to get over the rim for a long time.
That wasn't Jaylen Brown taking somebody's soul sort of dunk, which he's done a million times before. Again, you've seen it, you know the difference. So Tatum, it's different. And someone put it in the comments, this makes sense. The Brown thing is the knee. That's contact nonstop. You're running, cutting, jumping. That affects every movement that you have. The wrist is obviously dribbling a little bit too, and you want to see how the handle's affected there. But shooting and when you've got the ball, is it bothering you so much that you can't handle it? You can't handle it.
Yeah.
The handle I'm more concerned with than the shot, truthfully.
Interesting. And he played well
because if he can't do that either as effective, now you got a guy who's he's got to force his way to his left, it's tougher. It's tougher.
The play, and I don't know how much you guys even talked about the injury after the game, because the play after the injury from Tatum didn't make you think.
Louise is so mad. I compared Jaylen to you.
There are 3 things we try to stay away from. John and Noah's injury experience, comparing that. Definitely don't want to compare my athletic career to any of these guys. And speculation.
Shoot him up and play. I agree here. Shoot him up and play. But this wasn't what you wanted to hear today.
No, because we've seen Tatum in the past have a wrist injury, and obviously a different one. It was a small fracture in that case on the left wrist. Impact him for years. It was several seasons we saw that impact him there, where whether it was just mentally or physically or both, it hurt the shooting. And so again, with this, it's less about is he going to miss significant time. Seems like he's going to miss the next game here with the doubtful designation, but we'll see with that. Can he, after that, play through it, shoot through it, not let him impact him mentally, not have it be something that gives him a little pause on the shot or makes him struggle through it? I think it's all about how he handles that. And that was how Shams described it today too, John. Pain management. That's what it's going to be all about here. How well can he play through it? And with Brown, it looks good. It looks like he can, despite the physical limitations, still contribute to winning and doing other stuff and finding other ways to play and be effective. Tatum can do the same thing, but taking 10 threes a game, if it limits his three-point effectiveness, probably isn't the best way for him to impact the game at that point. But he can still rebound. He can still defend. He can still drive. You bring up a good point with the handle. I'd be interested to see that. They can't turn it over in this series. There's going to be some trouble. And he's going to have to ball a lot. And I said it going into the series, John. They're going to take a lot of hits. Do you get out of this series healthy? Do you come out of this series alive? We're one game in and one guy already has a fairly significant injury here, it looks like, off a couple hard fouls that pissed Al Horford off.
Well, yeah, and we have that sound too, and we'll hear from some of the guys today. But again, what bugs me the most here is it's unfortunate. It might not derail everything, but it's another hurdle. And this is what's such a bummer about it is like you've got a team that absolutely is in line for a championship or at least to compete for a championship this year. You get Porzingis coming back healthy, then the Brown thing surfaces, and now you've got this. And it just stinks because, again, the margin for error is smaller in the playoffs. You can fight off these types of injuries during the season. The timing of it is just brutal here. But what bugs me also, Bobby, is, again, you sniffed this thing out there in the media room. There was no smoke coming out from anywhere after the game. Nobody
How about
else.
The X-ray room?
Yeah, he goes to the X-ray room. Still, everyone's like, oh, it's fine. He's fine. He said he's fine. And then today, you're saying it again, like Joe's really evasive about this. I don't like it. And I'm checking Twitter. I watched the press conference. I'm like, Bobby's right. I was like, Joe was
It wasn't evasive. It was more
uncertain.
He didn't do the it's fine thing he usually does.
Yeah, here's Joe.
We'll
Here's Joe today.
Facing it through practice today, was there any lingering concern with the wrist?
Yeah, he was able to do some stuff. He was sore after the game. He's gotten a little bit better today. He was able to go through some on-court work, and we'll go from there.
You think he's going to be good to go tomorrow?
Day to day.
So, Bobby, right then and there, Joe knew he was doubtful, but he didn't tell you, and that's fine. And you were right, and you read it, and I'm scouring Twitter. I'm like, where's everybody's panic? Like Joe Mazzulla's like, this is before the Shams thing came out. Nothing, nobody, like nothing happened. And I was like, what, guys? I was like, Joe never talks like that. Like if you're used to one thing and another thing happens, that should tell you something, like, and
under normal circumstances, Joe would have said he's fine. And yes.
Yeah. Exactly. He's fine. Right. Exactly. So immediately I'm looking for it and nobody's reacting at all. There's nothing about like, oh, some concern here. Joe wasn't certain. Said he's day to day. Really? What? And then practice ends. And of course the Celtics immediately send out a thing where he's doubtful. The Shams report comes out and then the Celtics are like, well, shit, we got to send something out now. So they send out doubtful, which means they knew it and they didn't want to talk to you about it. But hats off to Bobby for seeing it, knowing it, asking the questions again in the press conference, like what's going on? Everything okay? Everything's not okay. And this is kind of what happened. So here you are again. But this is a lesson for everyone. Next time, it's like they said he's fine. He must be fine. Like, come on, like do better a little bit here. Like dig. Fans, that's fine. But taking stuff at face value every single time Joe says something is just not the way to go on this stuff. So again, hats off Bobby for digging a little bit and for sniffing out that like something doesn't feel right here. And it didn't feel
that
right
press conference. I know you guys didn't play it on the air the other night. He again sounded
I'll play it.
Frustrated about either frustrated about the situation or not great about the injury.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't. Here's what it was. And again, he was a little bit like, yeah, I don't know. And again, he gave people a ray of hope by saying that the X-rays were clean. That doesn't always tell the full story here, because there's a lot of things that you can do, and there's a lot of little teeny bones in there that you might not be able to see, and tendons and ligaments and bone bruises and all those things. But he knew he wasn't feeling right, even with the X-ray. And here he was after the game.
And first of all, how's the wrist? What happened there on that play?
It's all right. I just fell on it, landed on it.
Was it just like a singer, or like you didn't wrap it up, but can you explain what the sensation was, or did it just go away, or is it something that you think is going to bother you?
No, I just landed on it. It was throbbing for a second. Kind of went away.
And did you get an X-ray on that? What was the result of that?
Yeah, it's clean. It's good.
And the physicality, obviously that play, plays throughout this game. They're going to follow you guys. They're going to play really physical. What was it like adjusting to that, and how do you feel like you guys, responded to it through the course of this game?
Playoff basketball. It was a lot of fun out there. Felt good to be back in the playoffs, kind of playing a game like that in this environment. So it was fun.
So I was bummed I didn't ask if he was pissed about the play there, but I think he would have said the same thing he just said there.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was interesting because he comes into the locker room.
Monitor concern, of course. Like I said, you go to the doctor and they're like, we found something. You're worried like hell. Like, obviously, until they say it's this and it's bad, you're not going to go all the way. But you're always worried. Like, you're always going to be concerned and worried. Again, you're talking about a very small margin for error. You can't have your top scorer not be able to use his right hand effectively, and you can't have your most athletic player not be able to be an athlete. Like, you're really starting to play with fire here. So if you're not concerned,
and they're going to keep banging you.
You're able to keep a more even keel. But this is, to me, I think it's very concerning because,
they're going to keep banging you. They're going to keep fouling.
They're going to do it.
And you might come out of the series even more banged up right now than you already are here. So it's going to lower the margin for error. And again, that's not, are you going to lose this series?
It's not this series. And again, people saying things like,
longer.
Yeah. People saying like they'll gut it out. Like, they'll gut out this series, of course. They might even gut out the next series. It just gets harder and harder and harder and harder.
And you just keep playing, and there's less time off and all that. So I think it's smart. They're maybe going to give him a day off here because you have 3 days off consecutively. Can maybe do some more treatment here. I don't know. Do you get an injection on your wrist, John? Is that in play here? Maybe that's something they can do here too. So I don't know. But this isn't a welcome development. And just to go back to the inside, look at how this went the other night. He left the floor. He did get it wrapped up as the game ended there. He came out of the game, I believe, with like a minute and change left. Everyone did. And he left the floor early. There was still like 15 seconds on the clock, and he walked off, and he looked pretty dispirited. He looked like he was in some pain there. And then he hits the X-ray room, and there's this clip. I still don't know if she was kidding or not, but his mom's waiting at the X-ray room, and she goes, "Do you want me to go in the Orlando locker room?" And he just shakes his head. And that was crazy to me, because the sense I got in the locker room after the game, and I only asked Holiday about it. I didn't go find KCP. I actually did track him down at practice yesterday, and he didn't want to talk. The foul itself, was it dirty? Was it out of line? Al was pissed. Holiday after the game says it wasn't anything extra. It's just a team playing hard there. And no one even asked Pope about it at practice today on the Orlando side, which I was surprised about. But that's another thing I'm looking for in this series now is there some leftover tension there? The fans are going to get on KCP now, right? He's going to be one of those villains, with just like Sabonis earlier this year. So, that adds a little juice to the series for me too now. Is there some tension there? Is there some leftover animosity?
Yeah.
And Horford said it wasn't that play. It was that he did it 2-3 times throughout the game.
Yeah. And I've got Horford too, so let's hear from Al.
He's announcing Sixth Man of the Year tonight, and I know the team has been backing Peyton.
No, that's not what I want. That's not what I want. I want Al on the injuries. That's fine. Anyway, it says Al on KCP foul. No big deal. He's psyched about Peyton Pritchard's probably going to win Sixth Man later today. I said this on the show, Bobby. I'm not a ref complainer guy. I never have been. I think it's garbage. And 1000%, I was like, they let those guys murder him. Every trip to the basket, he got grabbed and poked and prodded and pushed and shoved multiple times. Like and when you do that, you're just giving them license to do it more. When you allow it, I don't mind letting them play, so to speak, like not calling the ticky-tack stuff. But when you're allowing that level of physicality as they were in this game, and we saw the report, the NBA across the board, the amount of fouls called in the first 8 games was down, 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 down. So there was a memo that went out and said, let them play, guys. But the reverse to that is you keep pushing and you keep pushing and you keep pushing. And that's what happens is what else can I get away with? It was the Ime philosophy. Play them really hard, make them blow the whistle. They don't play them even harder. Make the refs call the fouls. That was Orlando's
I asked Jayson about it going into the series. I said, this is a team that fouls more than any other team in the NBA. How do you get through that? How do you deal with no calls? And he said, it's just the playoffs. That's pretty much what he said at the podium there too. Like, you play through it. You know they're not going to call everything
perfectly well. He's
handling
it, bitching about it. Yeah,
right. So it's more, how do you sustain physically? How do you stand up for yourselves in that moment? And it was such a weird moment, John, too, because you got Horford jarring with the bench there. No one else is really doing anything over there, but Horford was pissed. And then Joe's on the sideline yelling, get up, like nothing's wrong. And I still don't totally understand that moment or what he was going for there. He had a weird quote today about how it was love. And again, I think that
Bobby,
was
here
along
it is.
with the, just
Like
a
in that
weird,
moment,
weird
you
quote
put it on
right here.
camera there, telling him to get up. What message were you trying to kind of convey there? It was kind of it looked like Al was kind of upset about the foul as well there. What was kind of going on in that moment on the sideline?
Love.
What does that mean?
It means I'm not quick enough to come up with the right answer
What I was
here.
doing there.
Yeah, and I don't really have a way to talk my way around it, so he called it love. It's just
Did
Joe
he
being
think
weird.
he was? Did he think he was okay? And now it's clear he's not.
Yes,
And it's like,
yes.
oh, I shouldn't have done that.
I told you my philosophy, right?
Yep.
That, like, I have kids. Do you have kids, Bobby?
Nope.
Nope. So I have kids, just so you know. But sometimes when your kid gets hurt, you yell because you're scared. You know what I mean? It's like, I was wondering if Joe was like frightened and yelled about it because he didn't want him to be hurt. And he's like, almost like the emotions got a hold of him. It's like your kid falls. I'm like, hey, what happened? Like, you yell at them, like, it's like, sorry. But you're so scared because you don't want them to be hurt. I wonder, was he like afraid that Tatum really hurt himself? I don't know. The whole thing was weird.
He might have not wanted him to show that they were getting to him. And that was what Pritchard alluded to today too. Like, I'm not intimidated. If you get knocked down, you get up and you check the ball. And Tatum I love the way he described it. He was like, Tatum took a little spill right there, but it's fine. So you did have these two schools of thoughts on the team today that I could hear of, yeah, you got banged up and bruised, but let's keep it going. That's not impacting us. Just play through it. And we're not going to allow that, the Al perspective. And I actually like that they have both of those, right? Because you do need someone out there who's going to defend them and not stand for that. And I love the way Horford stood up in that moment. But now we get to what's next, because that's over. It's done with. Maybe there's something that lingers from that, or there's some altercations later in the series. But now it's, can you play through it and succeed through it? And that's the biggest question I have, John, here is this going to impact him mentally as he plays through it? Is it just going to be on his mind as he goes through the shooting progressions? Is it going to lead to some extra turnovers here, like you mentioned? I think that's what this is all about. It's not going to cause him to miss significant time. In fact, the guy, Jeff Stotts, I believe his name is, in Street Clothes, who tracks the injury loss time from this sort of stuff, said average of less than 1 game missed from this injury, 2.6 days.
Yeah,
so
again,
I know
nobody's
the next
missing.
game and then be back.
He's not going to miss significant time. It's just, how does he play through it? That's kind of all we're dealing with here.
I think there's some real concern about that.
Yeah, how he plays. Anyway, let's quickly pay some bills here. We want to tell you guys about our terrific friends over at Prize Picks. And again, as good a time as any to jump on here. If you haven't, there's my Prize Picks graphic. If you hadn't already, cash in on the basketball playoffs with Prize Picks. Don't miss your last chance to add your favorite players from the court to your Prize Picks lineup, points, rebounds, assists. Take your pick, more or less, your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. Turn your playoff hot takes into tickets to basketball's championship series, starting with the play-in round. We're already through that, but every lineup you make on Prize Picks enters you in 2-ticket sweepstakes, where it gets you +1 VIP trip to the chip. Very, very, very cool. So again, #1 daily fantasy sports app in all of North America. Get in on the action. You get 50 in your account when you play 5. You download that app and the code CLNS. Once again, download the app, use code CLNS to get 50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. We also got to tell you about our pals over at Game Time. If you want to get in, score those last-minute tickets, get in to see the Celtics tomorrow, and I'll check that out in a little bit and see what that's going for.
You going to be courtside again?
No, man. Those I only get those a couple times a year, and they're really not the premium games, but that's okay. But check it out, Game Time, panoramic views from your seat, so you know exactly what it's going to look like. No hidden fees, all-in pricing. So again, nothing comes up late and you're like, oh, geez, this is way more than I thought it was. Game Time doesn't mess with you. They play it straight. Really, really terrific app. Very, very easy to use. Tickets to anything you want to see, not just sports, concerts, what have you. I'm entering concert season, Bobby. I love the summer. I love to go see my shows. Download that Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Once again, download the Game Time app, create an account, code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase.
We're 2 weeks away from Kendrick at Gillette. I've never been to a Gillette concert. That'll be my first.
I've been to a few. I've seen Bruce there.
Is there a good venue?
It's big, man. You need a big time act. I saw Taylor Swift there when she Eras tour. I wish I could have sold that ticket.
Kendrick just did the Super Bowl. I hope it carries over. But yeah, that's a big one to step into.
That's exciting.
He's big enough. He's big enough, I think, to handle.
I've been to shows
there.
there.
Is huge. The opening act or side act.
I've been to shows there where they didn't fill it, and it's weird. It doesn't look right. You know, like
he was very smart to bring Sis on this tour because it's going to bring in like another layer of people, another fan base to bolster it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I hope it's full. I hope it's electric. And yeah, let me know if you have any tips for Gillette concerts.
No. The parking's always a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. Anyway, get up. I love that. Anyway, back to the Tatum stuff. Let's, again, I guess
from Horford.
We will hear from Horford. But first off, Bobby, I want to have an idea. Where are you on the panic meter right now?
I'm a 5. I'm in the middle.
You're in the middle?
I think this could go either way. And I loop it in with Jaylen. And I'm very curious to see tomorrow because that was sort of part of the story today, too, at practice. Jaylen only played 30 minutes in that game on Sunday. Was that a limit?
Oh, I also saw Dead and Co at Gillette, and they did not fill it, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Joe pretty adamantly said this was lineup shuffling, this was matchups. Don't read into it. But it is curious. I mean, that's the minute limit he was playing on the entire end of the year, right? 31. So if that continues, I think you tick up above a 5. If the shooting slump worsens here, worse than it already is, you're ticking above a 5. But they have enough to get by. And I look at game one.
By what? I don't want to talk about Orlando. My Orlando panic meter is a 1.
2 rounds.
My can they win the championship with a even a slightly reduced Tatum and Brown? My panic meter is a 9. I thought you had to be, look. Let's be fair. What did everyone say when Brown went down? Right? Okay, fine. Let's pretend. Let's say Brown is even 10% limited, 20% limited, not all the way himself. He can't, do the Cedric Maxwell, put it on my back, boys, I'll take you home. He can't do what he did last conference finals when Tatum wasn't playing, last conference finals and NBA finals, where he single-handedly carried the offense for entire stretches. If he can't do that this year, everyone said, well, you've got a healthy KP. You didn't have that last year. And then Tatum is just going to go into MVP beast mode. Well, Now you just might have lost Tatum as MVP beast mode. You might have a slightly reduced Tatum. You can't play around both of those things. If both of them impact them even marginally, I don't know that they can win the championship anymore. I hate being a doomer about it. I think they could, but it got so hard. So the Tatum thing for me, the Tatum thing has to be next to nothing, which is like the teeniest nuisance. It has to be Holiday's finger, you know?
Yeah. And it's bigger than that. So there's a much greater chance that this leads to reduced effectiveness. And I think it's going to come down to their ability to power through it. And it wasn't the best start for Brown in game 1, right? But it wasn't the worst either. We were going into that game and it was like, all right, is he going to score 30? And we were like, ooh, why'd we panic? Or is he going to be a shell of himself? And we were like, oh, here we go. It was something in between, right? And I think we're going to see something in between with Tatum. He's not going to come out and shoot 2 for 17 next game with this. He's probably not going to be the best version of himself with this. And we're probably going to see the limitations right in front of us there. But they have enough. And these guys are out there and they're going to be able to be out there. And it's not going to reduce their minutes load. It's not going to hurt their ability to be physical or make plays or make reads or do all the stuff that can just get them through these series. And I'm talking as many as 3, John, because I'm not as concerned about the Cavs as anybody else or as some other people there. So that's why I'm not ticking up higher above that. Because to me, this is a team, and even in game 1, they're down at halftime. They're having some trouble there, but they figure out a way. The white corner threes, Pritchard taking on a little bit more of a load there. Porzingis, to me, I really want to see where his series is going to go here because it was so bad to start off, and I think he's got much more in him than we saw there. And so, for Tatum, I think what this means, John, is he's not going to be able to have that breakout playoff run that answers all the questions from last year and shuts down the haters and, rolls this team through the playoffs. But can he still pass a lot? Can he still just gut it out? Can he defend? I mean, those are things that shouldn't even be a question with this injury here. He's not going to shoot 40% from 3 now. And that probably wasn't going to be the case in these playoffs.
But he wasn't anyway. That's the thing is, like, what if you don't notice? Like, what if he just kind of shoots meh because he didn't shoot great this year? It's not terrible. It's really how much is it constantly bothering him? If he can get past it, and that's fine, and he actually takes a couple fewer shots as a result, that might not be the worst thing in the world. How he handles the ball, I do think matters here. But again, athletically, he's not going to be limited. He can still move. He can play defense. He can contribute. But
I just hate that there's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much potential for plays that could bother it. Right? You dunk, you hit the rim, someone slaps your hand going for the ball,
bangs you. Yeah.
It's in such a consequential place that I do worry about the pain increasing, or maybe there being some more aggravation down the line in this postseason. And again, there's not time to get better. This is something that lingers. This is something that's going to last here. So brutal timing. It's probably going to be there for much of this run. And how well does he learn to play through it? He's going to have to go through what Jalen did, right, John? The week or two there where you're trying to learn how to play through it. You're not looking your best every night. And that's going to lead to some more, I think, ups and downs, even through the series. And you know how I felt about this series, John. We disagree a lot about it. I think there's some real challenges here in this series.
There is, Bobby, but they can't score 100 points, so it doesn't matter. That's the point. Like, I told this to Jimmy, right? This was my joke. When you asked me for a series prediction, I had 2 versions of it. One, where I teased you a little bit about being the only person concerned about Orlando. And my second one was 1 sentence long. The Celtics will win this in 4 games because they can score 100 points and Orlando can't. And I almost left it there. Like, it's going to be a rock fight. You're going to watch the games and hate it. You're going to not love the way things are going. You're going to question the offense. You're going to question a lot of things. And it's really not going to be the Celtics. It's just going to be Orlando mucking it up, dragging the Celtics into the mud, making them play their game. Maybe Orlando has that one Cole Anthony game or something where they, catch fire from 3 and surprise you and sneak one out. That's it, though. Like, there's no concern because they just can't score, and they won't score enough to beat you, and that's it. So again, that last Orlando game of the year when they couldn't beat the G Leaguers, they couldn't get to 100 against the G Leaguers, was when I was like, "There's no concern with this team, none."
What if Tatum misses the next game?
Again, I don't think they can beat you even with Tatum missing one game and being in pain and not being great for the rest of the series. This series doesn't bother me. This series will be annoying and it might expose a few warts, but it doesn't matter because it's just this team that plays this way. You're not going to face a defense like this again until the finals if you're facing OKC. So it's just not a concern.
So, yeah, and you asked about the panic meter. If we factor in the OKC stuff we're seeing right now, that's where you start to say, ooh, 6, 7, 8, maybe even a 9. Because they come out in that game 1 and win by 50, and it looks like they're going to do all the stuff that they did during the regular season in these playoffs. That, to me, forget the wrist, forget the knee, forget anything going on in Boston or the East. I know Noah's big thing has been the field, right? Oh, it's probably not going to be the Thunder. It's going to be someone else. I think it's going to be the Thunder, and it's going to be really hard.
Bobby, I know, but both things are true. The Thunder are the overwhelming favorites to go to the finals, but it's also more likely than not that they won't. Both things are true. That's all Noah's saying. Is the reality is they have a less than 50% chance of going, but at 35%, they're 3 times more likely than the next closest team. But it's always the field is always more likely because you never know what could happen along the way. But
right.
yeah, of
Injuries
course,
specifically.
It should be OKC. The funniest thing to me about OKC this year is for everybody who thought that the Celtics were disrespected last year, OKC had a clearly better season this year than the Celtics had last year against a better conference and better competition throughout the year. More dominant than the Celtics were last year by a considerable margin. And everyone's still like, I don't see it. They don't have the experience. They're the most disrespected team in the hit. And if they don't make it, they're rightfully disrespected. But if they win it all, they can play that.
It does feel like the Celtics last year.
They're even more, because what's funny is
look at their resume.
The Celtics caught some disrespect this year, and every analyst is picking them to win it this year. But this year, Orlando has zero respect. Orlando, Oklahoma City. It's insane, actually.
Yeah, and did they finish the year with a better offense than the Celtics too? I mean, when you think of that, that's crazy. Yeah, they came out of this year, and as good as the defense was,
and they might lose. There's good teams out there. The Clippers are playing great right now. With Kawhi, that series is tough. Regardless,
I like the Clippers. Yeah, I like what they're showing right now. But I just don't think it's good enough.
OKC is so freaking good. But anyway, they are insanely disrespected team. Real quick, we want to tell you again. I'm sorry to.
It was tied Boston, Oklahoma.
But we have a new sponsor here on the Garden Report. If I can find it, do we have a LinkedIn lower third, Amit? Not seeing it here. Not seeing it. I'll get to it in a minute. While we're waiting for that, I will tell you that there is new merch available on the store. 15 more is the promo code for 20% off in the merch store. So make sure you check that out. As for LinkedIn, we did want to tell you about that. For those of you out there, I'm sure you've used LinkedIn for a lot of different reasons, whether it is finding a job, but for hiring managers, boy, is it a valuable tool. And you need that partner that grinds just as hard as you do. And I'll tell you personally, LinkedIn has saved my butt a million times. It's super easy to use. You get so many people coming in here with diverse backgrounds and skill sets. And every time I'm hiring someone, LinkedIn clocks in. It makes it easy. You post your job for free, share it with your network. Qualified candidates, you can manage them all in one place, which is great. And all you have to do here is go to linkedin.com/garden. That's linkedin.com/garden. And you get to post your job for free. So if you're hiring and you want to post a job for free on LinkedIn, just go to linkedin.com/garden, post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. And I'm telling you, this is a great deal. If you're out there looking for quality candidates, this is definitely the place to be. With what was the number that threw Joe Sway off? He was like
billions.
A billion. He's like, there's not a billion people in the world. There are, Joe Sway.
I gotta say, most people do have LinkedIns. You know who I found on LinkedIn? Bill Chisholm.
Oh, very nice. Did you network?
Yes.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. I do like the Pierce wheelchair time. I also think with Tatum, I do believe, I don't want to say he's soft. I don't think he's soft.
It's weird, right? Because we just saw that situation against Phoenix where he's down, or Sacramento where he's down. He looks like he's dead, and we said, "Oh, is he missing the rest of the year?" And he was fine. He doesn't do that often. In fact, I feel like when he goes down, he gets right up more often than not. So these last two situations, you looked at them and you're like, "Ooh, he's actually hurt." And last time he wasn't, and this time we'll see. But maybe it's a matter of him trying to get the flagrant call there, or he's just trying to. I don't know what he's trying to do in these circumstances. Obviously, again, Joe along the sideline didn't love it. I think he just wants him to pop right back up and look like he's not phased there. But he went down hard on that fall, and that's why my antenna went up, John, is the way he reacted, getting the tape along the sideline, and then again, that post-game presser, whether it was frustration with the foul, and we remember that with the Grant one, right? He was really pissed after that game and wouldn't talk, and then the next game he barely said anything. So it might have been just how upset he was about the foul, but I also think there were shades of concern over the injury here. And again, this one's concerning. Just the spot that it is on his hand, the struggles he's had with a similar injury in the past.
That was his left wrist, wasn't it?
Yep. So it's even worse this time, right? It's directly.
It's much worse.
And all that.
Yeah.
And then
his wrist exploded. It burst.
Yeah, his wrist burst. And then
way to go, Zim. Good callback.
Yeah, and then you get into the limited rest, the limited time for error right now there is, and I don't know. You think he's gonna miss next game? Doubtful usually means yes, right?
Doubtful means he's out.
Yeah.
Usually doubtful the day
Unless
before.
he comes to the arena and is like, "Fuck it, I'm going."
Yeah, doubtful is bad. I would have preferred questionable, and then just doesn't feel great prior. Doubtful, I think, is usually a miss here. So, but
and again,
also,
he wasn't on the floor at practice today, which is different.
Yeah, and
after practice,
for context, for those, we've talked about this before. The general way practice works, the practice finishes up, and the media is allowed down. And at that point, you're just left with individual work. And Tatum is always in the far left basket doing his own thing. Sometimes he'll disappear for a little bit, go into the room, do something, and then come back out. And then he goes through a
long shooting routine,
light series of, shooting. It's not like he's not going hard, but he's got a whole rhythm of things that he does, and he goes through it on his own. It's always just him out there. He does his thing. Jalen
was out there doing his thing today.
Jalen's at the basket closest to us. You got Derek White over on the right. They all have their kind of stations, and they go through their stuff. And Tatum's always in that far corner working through his stuff. And when he's not there, that's a change in rhythm and a change in routine. So when Joe said he was doing some stuff, my guess it was pretty limited. And the fact that he wasn't out there going through his shooting means he's just not feeling good enough to shoot. So the doubtful may just simply be, if it were today, he would not be playing. But he could wake up tomorrow or get some treatment or who the hell knows what and feel a lot better. And that
Noah and I were talking about that
switch to questionable.
Earlier.
You never know.
Yeah. Then they're not a team that plays many games with injury designated. So many teams do that where guys are on it all the time and then they're questionable and they don't do that. They're not one of those teams, just from my experience. So I feel good about the doubtful. Remember, he was doubtful for that game after the ankle injury, and we were like, he's out. And then he went up to questionable, and we're like, what is he doing? And then so they might go through that routine again. But he ended up missing that game after they upgraded him anyway. So yeah, I'm not expecting to see him in game 2. Usually doubtful is pretty, like you said, closed book on a guy being out, and it will be a good experience for Jalen, right? Leading that offense for double big. They'll be going double big all game in that case. And does that slog up the offense against the Magic's collapses and all that stuff we saw last game? Does someone have to step up off the bench at that point? Do we suddenly see a little Craig here? Do we suddenly see a little Shireman here, in a limited stint off the bench if Tatum's out?
I don't know.
It leads to some interesting scenarios here, and it just gives a little bit of life to that Magic side. And they were talking about playing faster yesterday. I don't know what was up with that. I guess that's their answer to this. That doesn't seem like the best idea after they turned it over a million times and blew the game that way. But I know you're pretty set on them being fine without him, John. And maybe that leads to him missing a couple games here to get right and get all the treatment he needs, and hope that you can still get through the series.
You're playing with fire. There's no question about it.
You are playing with fire.
You are playing with fire. We did promise we're going to play. We're going to play it real quick. This was Al Horford today. It was actually very interesting. We talked about, OKC trying to press, press the physicality, which OKC,
Orlando.
which we knew they would do. They start with those. We knew they would do. Then there was some leaked audio of them kind of barking back and forth with the Celtics and Al Horford, who came to Tatum's defense. Horford wasn't happy then. He was clearly.
By the way,
yeah,
I opened the presser with this question today. Al was so excited to answer it. There was no hesitation. I said, "Was there something extra?" And he jumped right in and said, "Yes."
So let's listen to it. And again, this was Bobby asking Al about kind of what went down with that situation, a little bit of extra mustard on the contact and the foul from KCP, the one that sent Tatum to the ground and is now caused him to be listed as doubtful for game 2.
You look pretty upset after the foul on Jayson there the other night. Did you think there was something extra there, or
Yes.
what were you trying to convey?
Yeah,
to
no,
this
there was
manager?
something extra. It was about the second or third time that especially KCP went at him in that way. So yeah.
What were you trying to say there, and what's kind of the message you were trying to send?
It was all about checking on my guy, making sure he was fine, and that's over with.
And there he is. We put a poll in the chat in terms of panic meter and where everybody is. This is what the panic meter looks like. Wait, what? Yellow. Oh boy.
Jimmy territory. What's Jim? We haven't gotten Jimmy's thoughts yet, have we?
No, not yet. We'll get Jimmy's. Not in the red, but most people are more concerned than not, which isn't great.
What was your number again?
I didn't give a panic. I said for this series 1 for now winning a
just in general.
For winning a championship, I have it at an 8 or a 9. I'm significantly worried if this is a lingering injury that limits Tatum. There's going to be nights where you don't notice it, I think, and there's going to be others where you can't. But I just don't think they have the margin for error.
I think it all comes down to how disruptive do you feel like his shooting struggles are to this team? And we did see them go through the playoff run, and obviously it was the easiest run ever, right? That they still won a championship with him struggling shooting, and they won that game the other night with.
And
him
they won it without
shooting.
Porzingis, and so they are that good. They really are.
They find a way, and I didn't love where that game 1 was
but
going.
They
I thought
again,
they were about
everybody
to lose.
sucked last year. I hate playing the competition sucked and it was an easy path. Because it was an easy
It's
path.
going to be harder.
But it didn't matter.
That.
It didn't matter how easy it was because they would have killed everybody. Like
Yep.
They were that good last year. It
that
didn't
comes
matter.
back to the debate we had all year of are they better? And if
Orange
they're
is
better,
worse than yellow, I know.
If they're better this year than last year, maybe the competition's better, and I think the Thunder are, compared to anything they saw last year. But they should be in a better position to roll if they are better.
Honestly,
if the Pritchard thing's real. I mean, that Pritchard thing the other night, John, was a revelation. I mean, the way he looked in that game, and he's going to win 6-man tonight and all that. That's a guy who can pick up the slack if Tatum's not playing at his best.
Well,
when
the Celtics win, when the Celtics get the 6th man award winner in an odd number year, they
lose.
Don't make it to the finals. So this isn't
So that's true. But I do feel like they have more options that they can go to this time around. And Cornette's one of them too. Play a little bigger here. Go to that. I didn't love that in game 1. But I think that's something that they have in their arsenal in certain matchups here. So, yeah, this does put some doubt in your mind. And it comes at a bad time. And the lingering nature of this injury is definitely concerning here. But we're still early in the game. We're still looking at a team that they should beat here. We're still looking at a round 2 that they should be able to manage here, John. I mean, watching that New York-Detroit series gives me no increased concern about the Knicks, who I still think this team could potentially roll through if that's who they're even going to see here. But it could be Detroit at this point now, too, who plays that physical, grueling style that we're seeing from Orlando right now as well. So I feel pretty good about them getting back to the finals still, even with Tatum being somewhat limited. And then you get into a final series, and who knows where either team is at or who they're even playing at that point. So that's why my panic meter is a little lower than yours. But just specifically for the injury itself, it's not what you want to see. It's not going to hold him out of many games here, but it is something that could just be on his mind, could cause him to shoot even worse than we're seeing right now, and could get worse due to the slaps and whatever else could end up happening there. So, yeah, this to me is not good news.
It's not great news here, but again, everything is we got to see it. Same thing with Jaylen. You got to see how he looks to see whether it's an issue. And then you got to see how he looks as the series progresses. Does it bother him less? Does it bother him more? Does he look more like himself? Does he look less like himself? And so even the Jaylen Brown, you got a game 1 snapshot was okay, I thought, but we'll learn more in the game 2. You'll learn more the game after that. I think you need to see a few games with Tatum to get a better idea, because he goes out and he doesn't shoot well next game. I'm not going to blame the whole thing on the wrist. He goes out and he hits a shot. I'm not going to say that the wrist isn't bothering him. You really
Again,
need to see it.
I'll say it again because I opened the show with it. He's 29% from 3 since the All-Star break, including last game. So this could exacerbate that. Maybe it's not any different from what we were already watching.
That's what I mean. If he goes out and
make
shoots
it a little bit
30%
worse.
from 3, he goes 1 of 8. We've seen a lot of those. You know what I mean? Is like, so it is what it is there. But it's, again, we're talking about what's not great. None of this is great. Doesn't mean anything
Your
definitive
2
is going to
best
happen.
players are hurt 1 game into the playoffs.
Yeah, that's certainly not great. A quick shout out once again to Prize Picks, America's #1 DFS app. Get in on the action right now, especially with the basketball playoffs underway. Download the app, promo code CLNS. New users, all you have to do is play 5 to get 50 instantly in your account. Shout out Game Time, easiest way to get into the games, the concerts, whatever you want. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. As for LinkedIn, well, you know what to do here. Go ahead and post your job for free at linkedin.com/garden. If you're hiring, LinkedIn is the place that you want to be, where you're going to find quality candidates. Once again, linkedin.com/garden. Terms and conditions do apply. The Garden Report, as you all know, is a proud member of the CLNS Media Network. So support us and subscribe to the Celtics All Access YouTube channel, also to the CLNS Media Network YouTube channel, where you'll find all of our live broadcasts and anything else that we do on the Garden Report here, in addition to a host of other great shows on our network, where you can get it here. You can also run it back and listen to the audio of any Garden Report wherever it is that you get your podcast. So make sure that you check that out as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channels, turn on those notifications. And if you could please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast if you like it. Even if you don't, we'll take the bad review and the feedback. That's okay. Pop on there. Spotify, iTunes, wherever you want, or Apple Podcasts, I should say. Leave us a review, and that would be
Check out our
great.
Game 1 breakdown too. That's out now. We just put that out today.
Yeah,
So.
Noah and Bobby have their take on Tatum. That was prior to the news, so you want to check that out as well. But also, if you want more Noah, and that's something that you can get on this channel and on this Garden Report as well. But also, Noah has her own show, You Got Boston. She is patiently waiting for us to stop talking so she can jump on here. And again, subscribe to You Got Boston with Noah. And Noah's coming up right now and giving her takes on the Tatum situation and everything else Celtics related right now on You Got Boston. So literally,
Let us know your panic meter, Noah.
Panic meter with Noah. We will see where she's at here, but Noah's coming up. She's going to give her takes on the Tatum injury and the series. So literally just jump right over into that show. It should be coming up literally the second we pop down. Noah's coming up with a live broadcast of You Got Boston. Make sure you check that out. And of course, we will be live tomorrow after the game. Game 2 reactions with the Garden Report. We hope to see all of you there. Thank you guys for joining us in the middle of the day here with a breaking news emergency Garden Report. As we had said here, Jayson Tatum, you know by now, is listed as doubtful for tomorrow. Sustained a right distal radius bone bruise, reportedly, according to Shams of ESPN. He Soon after that report came out, the Celtics sent out their injury report with Tatum listed as doubtful. This all happened after practice today, so we did not get a chance to ask the players and the coaches about Tatum specifically with this information in mind. So we'll give you more updates tomorrow when we get to talk to them pregame. We'll see if he plays. So obviously, keep it tuned in to CLNS Media Network for all the latest and greatest regarding the Boston Celtics as we take you through what we hope is another long and fruitful playoff run. Injuries be damned. Thanks again, guys, for hanging out. Noah is coming up next. Make sure you tune into that. We will see you guys tomorrow.
No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're going to do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to
Same.
feel that
Same
way.
to you.
Let's slide Al over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We're not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke